Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. My name is Adam Coe, and I am your host, joined as always by my co-host, Dan Welch. Dan, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, not too much. Nice weekend. Got to work outside a little bit in the yard. Picked up some dog shit and some sticks. Um, yeah, no, I'm looking. Today was a good Counter Strike day. Unfortunately, I was a little wrapped up in League of Legends, but I definitely followed the Discord to see what was going on, and sounded like there was some spiciness, and maybe again tomorrow, hopefully.
It was an interesting set of games today. This entire group is interesting to a point. Um, we took the day off yesterday. Had some other things going on. We are back. We're going to preview Group B, like the first day of Group B never happened. And then we're going to get into a recap of some of these games from yesterday. We already see the winners and the losers from day one. And we're going to get into our thoughts about the teams, any news that, just like we did for Group A, any news that we think is newsworthy. Nevera and Team Vitality reverting to a five-man roster. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
before we get started, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Dan at Wandelch, and you can follow me at AdamWX21. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below this video. And again, folks, subscribe. It helps us out, helps you guys out. You get these videos as soon as they drop. You hit that subscribe button, you leave your notifications on, gets you guys the information as soon as the pod drops. With that being said, Dan, let's get into Group B.
Yes, let's
Um,
do it.
let's just go right down how they have it here on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
Or Wikipedia, my apologies. G2 Esports, Team Vitality, Ents, Mouse Sports, FaZe Clan, and Ninjas in Pajamas. I think what stands out to me is Team Vitality should be the strongest of this group. Now, again, I already kind of teased it a little bit. There's no cough cough. The biggest news in this group to come out is Team Vitality have gone back to a five-man roster. Valve came out and are doing something about six men versus coaches, and go back and look at the entire set of news. Nevera has stepped away from Team Vitality, which I think in and itself is really interesting how Nevera didn't replace Masuda. But again, Masuda being like, he's this young kid, he's an up-and-comer, he can do really, really well. And there's a lot of potential with him. And this leaves Nevera to go off and find another team. And I think that really makes Team Vitality weaker. They were the masters of employing the six-person strategy. So, what do you think about Team Vitality going back to a five-man roster and no longer having Nevera on the roster?
Well, it's certainly better for DFS purposes because then we don't have to worry about who might get subbed.
True.
But then you can make the argument that was a good thing for DFS because you could take some calculated risks on certain people.
Agreed.
I mean, I personally didn't like it. I just thought it was kind of busy, and that it would, like some of these bigger teams could attract more talent than what is needed for it to run a team because there's a chance they could be on the starting, and then other teams can't get formed and new talent developed, and it just kind of concentrates I think too much talent in a small amount of teams. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is interesting, right? Like, it'll be interesting when we get down to Astralis in Group D. What on earth they're doing with Bubsky? Because there was news that came out weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, that Bubsky has been training and he can. Part of the quote was he can now play multiple maps.
Mm-hmm.
But if these teams can no longer employ a six-person rotation, like an active six-person roster, what does that do for Bubsky? Do we see him only in certain events? Do we see him on certain days to give someone a break? We really have no idea what this means. So stay tuned to hltv.org for more news information. And with the rest of that being said, that's probably the biggest news out of Group B. Like I said, we'll see what happens with Astralis in Group D once we get down there. Hopefully we have some more news what they plan on doing with Bubsky by then. But let's finish talking about Group B. Mouse Sports and FaZe Clan. I just feel like ever since I've started playing Counter-Strike DFS and started getting into Counter-Strike last year, I feel like these two are almost intertwined with each other. And with Kerrigan going from Mouse Sports to FaZe Clan and everything that these two did last year, I just feel like they're such even teams with each other. Not one other team has an advantage over the other. And on this slate, as a little preview, we do have Mouse Sports versus FaZe Clan, which I think is really, really interesting. Um, I think both of these teams make it. I think Team Vitality secures the other spot. I don't think G2 Ents or NIP make it through. But I really like Mouse Sports and FaZe Clan to go through. FaZe Clan on Mirage today looked incredible. They were dominating Team Vitality. They basically looked incredible. And talk to me about Mouse Sports and FaZe Clan, and then we'll get into the G2 and Kenny S news.
Yeah, I mean, Rops is too good. That's just it's a little bit unfair. And it's almost kind of a tragedy. He's like Dan Marino. He's that good, but he might never make it the distance because of his team. But maybe I don't know. I'm wrong so much, so I could be wrong about that as well. But yeah, I do agree with you that there's like some similarities too between FaZe and Mouse Sports. But yeah, I think that should be a good one.
Yep.
I hope so.
Yep, and we'll get into that breakdown a little bit later on the podcast. Okay, the second biggest piece of news in this group. G2 Esports have benched Kenny S. They've brought back Jax. Nico is supposedly going to be a hybrid and going to do opping and rifling. You bench the legend that is Kenny S. You lose an opper to bring in a rifler. You immediately get weaker.
I don't know. I looked at his stats for the past couple of years, and Kenny went from a 1.15 rating to a 1.0 rating in 2020. I think the online thing might have really impacted him. Maybe he's not disciplined and he wasn't practicing enough, or maybe too many streams with chuckleheads trying to, where he wasn't taking it seriously. I don't know.
I don't think Kenny S wasn't taking it seriously. Now, don't get me wrong. Online play has affected teams. It's affected players. They weren't performing the same way. These are professionals. They like feeding off the crowd, and there's no crowd. I mean, there's the hundreds of thousands that watch on Twitch, but it's not like you're in an arena and you can feed off the energy. But yes, Kenny S was inconsistent, but he's still a much better player than Jax. I don't care what you say. I don't care what stage of his career he's in. Kenny S is a way better player than Jax. You don't bring in an opper. Like, G2, have you not learned from Cloud9? Did you not learn from what Mouse Sports went through the end of 2020? Like, you need I'm not going to say you need an opper, but it's more ideal that you have one. Cloud9, they got rid of Woxic. They had no opper for a while. Alex, the in-game leader, took up the opping duties. And now Esatag's taking up the opping duties. Mouse Sports last year, Chris J was taking up the opping duties after Woxic left, and now they brought in A-Core, and they're looking better. At the pro level, in my opinion, you kind of need someone to don the op as much as possible. If you know of a dedicated opper, you should have someone up. Now, Nico, my opinion, the best rifle fragger in the world. He is the third best player in the world. You could argue third or fourth, him or Device, behind Simple and Zyru, but still, he's one of the top 4 players in the world. Why are you messing with what he's doing? Unless he volunteered that he wants to op. Why are you messing with what he wants to do? Now, I will say, I didn't see Nico op as much today. I saw Amanek more at the op. So, I mean, I don't know. Talk to me about what you think with G2. Because I think someone like on their team, you lose a player caliber of Kenny S, you bring in Jax, it makes them weaker, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think that G2 was consistently I think actually Kenny was consistently bad. You said he was inconsistent, but that's just my opinion. I watched a lot of G2, and there was some, he was missing, and yeah, Jax obviously isn't the same player, but Nico is, and Nico did op on FaZe on Dust, so he does have some of that experience.
He was a hybrid role for a part-time too. I just think I just have an issue with Nico being the hybrid player. Now, I don't think he's bad. I think, again, he's one of the top 4 players of the world. There's a reason he could do it. I just wonder if this team is ready to employ a strategy of a Nico hybrid with a weak player in Jax, not as weak of a player in Amanek, but both pretty weak. And you don't have a high fragging IGL, so a lot of it falls onto Nico, and then it falls on the Hunter. I mean, that's just me, but again, that's all on paper. If you were to look at Heroic last year and who they had on their team, you would have laughed at them if I would have told you that Heroic are going to win ESL 1 Cologne and they're going to come in second in DreamHack Summer. Right? Like, you would have been
Yeah.
like, who are these scrubs? Anything can
Yeah.
happen in Counter-Strike because on paper can say one thing, and how their gameplay is completely different. So, that's just my opinion. That's Dan's opinion. G2 professional as a professional esports organization, they make way more money than Dan and I do. What do we know?
Yeah.
But it's fun to talk about. But again, it's just our opinion. But from what I've seen from G2 since I started watching last year, they seem to make it to the big dance, and then they fall short. Now, I do think they've been trying to improve. I think bringing Jax back in is just a little more of a familiarity with the roster, familiarity with what they do. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the strategy is going to work. This tournament and the next couple tournaments/events are really going to show us, I think, a little bit more of what this team has. Hopefully they can get over the hump. The talent's incredible. Nico deserves 10,000 championships. He's that good. Okay, the other two players, we're not going to take much time on them. ENCE and NIP are the two weakest teams in this tournament, in this group. I'm sorry. Sorry, NIP fans. Sorry, ENCE fans. They're the weakest. ENCE they tried piecing a team together. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
they basically lost four of their players and have replaced them now with Dodo was the first replacement. Then they bring in Snappy, Sphinx, and Daicha. Alu's still there. Alu being the glue that holds this team together.
Yep.
Again, he is one of the top 10 operas in the world. He's crazy good. I like the addition of Daicha from Sprout. I think this gets him into some higher tier competition. And he was obviously one of the better players, if not the best player on that Sprout roster last year.
Oh
Dodo's
yeah.
okay. Snappy's interesting. I think Snappy's the IGL for this team. I don't know much about Sphinx, so I'm interested to see what ENCE can do. I mean, they beat Mouse Sports today, so I mean, give them credit. They beat Mouse. It was 2-1. So they beat
Yeah,
him
that's a big scalp.
16-12 on Train. Mouse spanked them on Vertigo, and ENCE came back 16-14 on Inferno. Like I think this ENCE team could be something interesting. Ninjas in pajamas looked good today from what little bit I saw of them. I mean, they were up against G2. G2 beat them 2-0. It's not like they weren't close contests. Double overtime on Mirage. So I
Yep.
think NIP is still finding their way with ZTR, but I think they look better. Rez looked great. Plopsky looked great. Hampus looked great. This team's got a lot to prove. I just think they need a little bit more time, and they're just in a tough group. Okay, with that
Yeah.
being said, that's a preview of the group. Dan, give me the three teams you think make it.
Make it out of the group.
Make it out of the group.
Vitality, Mouse Sports, and I'm actually going to go with Ninjas in Pajamas.
I like it. I get Team Vitality, Mouse Sports, FaZe Clan. I think Team Vitality get into the play-in stage. Mouse Sports, FaZe Clan make it to the round of 12. All right, with that being said, we can actually go over yesterday's games. ENCE beating Mouse 2-1. G2 beating NIP 2-0. Again, those were close. ENCE was close. Team Vitality versus FaZe. It was a butt-whooping from FaZe on Mirage. This scoreline is not indicative of the butt-whooping that Vitality gave FaZe on Dust 2. And Overpass was more contested. Vitality were dominating at one point, and FaZe started coming back. So, again, I think Vitality are going back to what they know. And FaZe, at the end of the day, is really, really good. And that leads us into tomorrow's games and the Sunday slate. So we have NIP versus ENCE to start things off. I think NIP win this easily. I think that's sad to say, but again, we could take advantage of some of the interesting things on this slate. Let's, for example, talk about one of the most interesting prices on the slate. Plopsky's $9,400.
Yeah, that's insane.
Uh-huh. That one statement sums up everything you need to know about his price on this slate. Plopsky at
Yeah.
9,400. He's way too expensive. Now, if you're mass multi-entering tomorrow, absolutely get some Plopsky exposure because he's most likely going to be ridiculously low owned. He is the second highest priced player on the slate. I think he's going to be extremely low owned. Would I play him in a single entry? Probably not.
No.
Because quite frankly, if you're playing single entry, I want Zyru, I want Twist, I want Rops, I maybe want some Res, maybe some Brokey, maybe some Frozen. Nico at 7,400, we will get there. But like mass multi-entering, you want to get some Plopsky stacks, Plopsky in your Nip stacks rather. I would like that. On the flip side, whoops. On the flip side of this, Naka's $5,200. Why?
I have no idea. But he did have a rough patch, but he came out of it pretty strong.
He's about $2,000 underpriced.
Well, I guess you'd pair Plopsky and Knock, then you kind of offset the odd pricing. But
You could. I mean, that's definitely a stack to go to. For me, if I'm playing anyone on Nip, I'm playing Res. $8,000. Not many people may play him at $8,000. I actually wouldn't mind pairing him with Hampus either at 6,800. ZTR, I need to see more out of him before I really take a chance on him in DFS.
yeah, he had some good when they were in the last tournament. He had some good. He had a good showing. He had some good rounds, but yeah, he's brand new. He's from. I think he was on their like academy team.
Yep,
Young Ninjas
correct.
in Pajamas.
Correct. He was on the Young Ninja Squadron, called up. All right, on the end side of things, we talked about the five Nip players. On the end side of things, there were really only two players I want exposure to, and that's Daichi and Alu. I do not know what to make of the other three. If we head over here to Sphinx.
Dude, Sphinx is good. He's legit. I mean, he won FPL like a couple of times or something. He's like the next Rops, and he's been passed around on a couple of teams, but I mean, he finally made it to the a tier 1 team because he was on. Oh shit, what was he on? I forgot the team.
Let's take a look at what he did today. So this is Ents versus Mouse Sports. I'm sorry, I'm just taking a look at Sphinx. -7.
Yeah, but that.
But again, this was against Mouse, where Rops went +31.
Jesus.
Frozen +11, A-Core +8. Again, this is DFS. If you're picking a team, like I thought Mouse Sports was going to win. I picked Rops and Frozen, and then my thought strategy was behind this. Rops is going to be highly owned. I understand he's one of the most expensive players on the slate. He should be high owned. I don't want to try forcing him into my captain spot. Frozen has an incredibly high ceiling in and of himself. It's Ents. Ents isn't that good. I'm going to pivot to Frozen at captain because of the lower salary and probably lower ownership. And Rops goes to +31. But again, like, Daichi was even. Everyone else was negative. 3 players from a losing team you needed on lineups because you needed Rops and Frozen most likely to do anything and win a GPP. Like Rops had the most kills, he had the most damage, he had the most first kills, he had the best rating. Every one of the top things. Frozen 19 assists, 8 core with 31 op kills. Not one of these was an Ents player. So just saying, Ents. Going back to your Sphinx point, second highest rating on the team, 70.8 ADR is good, 50 and 57. I want to see more out of Sphinx first before I play him. Not saying he isn't good, but I want to see more out of him before I would take that chance.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good risk-averse, kind of approach for. I mean, yeah, he's new. And I think he actually gets some ownership too because people, I mean, he's been kind of touted by some people, so.
There you go. Now again, if you're in a large field GPP, by all means play him.
Yeah.
right? Like go ahead and finish your thought.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Go ahead. We can move on.
Excellent. With that being said, I have nothing else to talk about on NCU.
Yeah, I mean, Alu's
Yep.
he's old. He's good for an opper, but I mean, he can shine. I
He's
think he's the
better than
only.
you and I playing. Let's put it that way. All these guys
Yeah,
are better than you and I playing. The academy teams are better than us.
I think he's the only Counter Strike player that I've seen go plus 200 in the captain spot.
Yeah.
He had like 130 or something.
Who,
No,
Alu?
one. Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
it was
So
crazy.
Alu is insane. Like he's one of the best operas in the world. He's a top 10 opera in my opinion. Is he top
Yeah,
5? No. Is he top 10? Yes. Probably in that
yeah,
lower end of the range, but the guy's incredible. There's a reason he's here and no one else is.
yep. That's a good point.
He's that good. And Al Ents is Alu. Alu is Ents.
Yep.
I mean, they're kind of interchangeable. But that's besides the point. So, in my opinion, Daicha Alu definitely in play on the slate. You want to take a shot on Sphinx and large field GPPs, I don't mind it. I'm outright fading Snappy. You want to take a dart throw on Dodo, go for it.
Yep, that's good. Good advice, Adam.
All right, second game on the slate. Mouse Sports versus FaZe Clan. Twists, $9,000.
No, sir. Too much.
What? I wasn't
Too
even
much.
finished with my sentence, and I was going to say you play Twist at $9,000 on the slate. What is
Good
going
to disagree,
on?
Adam.
Your disagreement is wrong, sir. I mean, that's an interesting price point for him. I will say it this way: he's been the best player on this team since he joined.
Mm.
Just saying, he has been the ace on this team since he joined FaZe Clan.
I think last year he actually had. Now that you mentioned the word ace, he had the most aces out of all in the world. It was something ridiculous, like
What a stat!
most number of aces.
What a stat! It's like you prepared for the show or something. Um, anyway, I would absolutely play Twist at $9,000. You know why? Because I could pair him with Cold Zera at $5,000. Cold Zera is about $1,500 plus underpriced on this slate. I know he hasn't been good. He's still one of the best. He's still a legend, somewhat of a legend in Counter Strike.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, he's one of the most famous Brazilians to come out of the Brazilian scene in Counter Strike. He's that good. $5,000 is hilariously underpriced. Before we finish up, let's finish up FaZe Clan. We'll get into Mouse Sports. Kind of reversed it here, but I want to talk about that Twist salary. FaZe Clan, Brokey, 7,800. Started looking really good at the end of that game today. I think that's a great price for him. Someone who might be chalk on this slate, but is well warranted. Brokey obviously being the opera for FaZe Clan.
Yeah, no, I like Brokey. I don't always play him. He does get a little volatile, but I don't think he's gonna do that well tomorrow. But I mean, I think Mouse is gonna just, and I hate to say this, but just stomp FaZe. But
Just look at the rosters, and this is what amazed me why Carrigan left. Because Mouse right now is sitting on a gold mine of talent, and I just found it really interesting that Carrigan left. I mean, I think Carrigan was already making his decision to leave prior to them signing a core. My opinion. I thought, and from his interview on HLTV confirmed. I still have to finish listening to it, but he has something to prove. He's 30 years old. Carrigan has something left to prove. I think he wants to prove it with FaZe Clan, and that's fine. Like, these players need team shifts and they need everything else, but on paper, all right, Rops, Frozen, A-Core, BMass.
Demons, yep.
One stud.
Dexter.
Right, Dexter. Jury's still out on Dexter.
Oh, Dexter's good. I mean, he's that high fragger in IGL, like we talked about the other day, and I think it's just he's only 4,400.
It beats the days when Dexter was what, $9,400, $9,800 for reasons that no one understood.
Oh, or 10,000, 11,000.
Again, for reasons that no one quite understands. $4,400 for Dexter makes him really appealing for tournaments. But he doesn't have the high frag on this team. Rups is the ace. Frozen's the 1B. I'm not even going to call him a 2 because his ceiling is a 1B. So I'm going to call him exactly what it is. Those two. Rups the ace. Frozen the 1B. A-Core, in my opinion, better than BMass. Sorry, Ty. A-Core is the 3. BMass is the 3B. I mean, and then you have Dexter. You have those 4 players. This team has top 5 potential. They have the potential to win multiple events. They have the potential to win titles. If this team is clicking by the time we get around to the major at the end of the year, it would not surprise me in the least to see Mouse Sports win that major. This team is that good. And we kind of just finished talking about Mouse Sports. We didn't even finish talking about FaZe.
Yeah, forget about FaZe.
Mouse Sports, everyone is in play on this slate for me. Every single one of them, including Dexter at 4,400. Agreed?
100%.
Would you agree the order I listed off the players would be the order you'd play them in tomorrow? Rups, Frozen, A-Core, B-Mass, Dexter.
Yeah, I'm not a big Frozen player, but he's been doing really well lately, so I can't help but put him at number 2 for sure, or one, like you said, 1B. I think that's a good way to assess it.
There you go.
Yeah, I do have the narrative that maybe without Kerrigan, like they're probably not gelling the same as they were, but it doesn't seem like that happened today.
Listen, when you lose the second best IGL in the world, unless your name is Glaive, it's a downgrade. It just is. I mean, Glaive's 1, Kerrigan's 2. Debate the rest.
It's like the best tight ends in the NFL.
Kelsey 1, Kittle 2. Debate the rest.
And everybody.
Oh man. Anyway, that's besides the point. FaZe Clan. The only 2 players we're going to talk about really were Rain and Kerrigan. Both are in play if you're mass multi-entering. Single entry, I'd be hesitant to stay away from them.
Yeah, I mean, fade FaZe. That'd be. I don't think that's a.
I'm not fading FaZe. What are you, crazy?
I'm sorry. In single entry.
Okay. I was gonna say.
FaZe will be FaZe.
FaZe ain't that bad. No. Anyway, this is a game in my opinion, on this slate, in all seriousness, you have to get right to win a GPP tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. You might have to get a little creative too.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
like 2-1, 2-1, or not 2-1. Yeah, 2-1, 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, go figure out however you want to play this slate. I personally think Mouse Sports win. I can easily see Twists and Brokey preying off their price tag. I can see Cold Zera getting there. I can see Rain getting there. Kerrigan's been fragging, but again, I wouldn't play him. I don't see him getting there at 6,000. I think Mouse Sports, any one of them could get there. I think, again, you have to take a stand. Kind of like what we saw with Heroic and Complexity. I played, for what it's worth, I pivoted off Cadian in a great lineup to Poison because I wanted to go with the higher ceiling player. And when Poison is clicking, his ceiling is high. It didn't matter because other players did their thing, and it wouldn't have mattered if I had Cadian anyway. Poison didn't do too terribly, but Cadian's just been.
On another level.
I'm not going to say a lock on every slate, but he's going to be one of the surest things to a lock, or someone that you want exposure to on every slate that he's going to be on. He's just playing that good right now. With that being said, again, both teams are in play. I mean, Dan, do you agree you have to get this game right to win a GPP tomorrow? Or rather, the plays. You have
to get the plays right. I don't even know if having the winning team is right because Rops and Frozen were plus 45 today in a loss. So, and
it happens.
I think if they win, then A-Core will probably have a big part in that.
I think Brokey's way better than A-Core, but that takes nothing away from A-Core. Nothing away from him.
Man's good.
Yep. So Dan and I pretty much agree. You need to get the plays right from this game to win a GPP tomorrow. That's our opinion. All right, ready to talk about the last game on the slate?
Mm-hmm.
The heavy hitters, Team Vitality versus G2 Esports. Zywoo, he's on the slate. Dan, do we play Zywoo when he's on the slate? Nod your head yes and say yes, because we do.
Yeah, almost every time.
Exactly. By the way, he was the captain you needed to win the GPP today.
Yep.
Shout out to the massive tie at first place in the large $10 GPP today. Big shout out to everyone that won that. Matter of fact, Noto from Roto Grinders was one of the ones that tied for first place. So big shout out to Notorious. Zywoo was the captain. So with that being said, Zywoo, I'm not going to say he's a lock, but yeah, he's pretty much a lock on this slate. If you wanted to, I don't recommend lock buttoning really anyone ever in DFS, just because variance happens. And like I can't believe I just said that because there are times I lock button somebody, but the more and more the more and more I try embracing the variance, I just it's Zywoo.
I mean, typically he's 95% owned. So if you're 5% and you're 150, then you should be fine. And I think that would be a good amount of exposure.
The only decision you're going to have to make tomorrow on this slate is do you captain him or not? Because if you captain him, you're looking at let's see here. Sheesh. Just look at the. He's 14-7. My goodness. You have $7,000 pretty much remaining per player.
Yeah, but there's some cheapies that are.
Yeah, speaking of team vitality, RPK
yeah, no, that's like.
He's 4,200. Why?
So you can play Zywoo as a captain.
Thank you, DK. This will be probably one of the more chalkier builds tomorrow. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you know what that means though is if Vitality loses, then there's going to be that's a lot of chalk that's going to get wiped out right. Immediately.
I don't think Vitality lose. I think they win 2-0, but we'll get there later.
I'm just saying G2 is a great leverage play in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, it's worth mentioning from a strategy perspective. If you're playing the leverage, and let's say you play 2 or 3 players from G2, and you want to run it back with Zywoo, 100% an effective strategy. Not something typical that we would recommend. At least, Dan, I don't know if you would, but like one thing I've learned from playing Counter-Strike, and I've learned this from other friends of ours that have employed this strategy. It works out. Players that typically win in GPPs use this. These are typical lineups. You don't usually run it back with someone from the opposing team. The likelihood that players are going to get there from both sides is very minimal. There were 2 players that can do it. Zywoo and Simple.
Yep.
If you want to make an argument for device, fine. You want to make an argument for... I can't make an argument for anyone else. It's Zywoo and Simple for me is the only time I break that rule. It's the only time.
Yep.
So, with that being said, strategy element out of the way with. Zywoo, the opera for Team Vitality. And like we said, G2 doesn't really have an opera right now. Again, do you want to captain Zywoo on this slate, or you want to just plug him into the flex? Like... You are going up against the number 1 player in the world, the best opera in the world. Zywoo is one of the surest things on this slate. He's my core player on this slate. It's not a surprise. Zywoo's on the slate. You play Zywoo. It's G2. Don't get cute.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good.
Now that we've had our Zywoo discussion, the rest of Team Vitality... like we said, we no longer have to worry about substitute risks for Team Vitality. Which, for DFS players, we're all jumping for joy, right? Right?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
We're not.
What's going on with it? You should have let me get that one, man.
I don't know what to make of this team
time.
now. I don't know what to make of this team, dude. They looked a little lost on Mirage. They stomped them on Dust 2 and was stomping on Overpass when they played FaZe yesterday. I don't know what to make of this team. I really don't. Like, you're asking Shox and Masuda, who, by the way, Shox wasn't playing Inferno. Masuda wasn't playing Dust 2, and he wasn't playing Nuke. You're asking them to slot back in to maps that they haven't played in a while because of the six-man roster. Now, I'm sure they've been playing them on their own, but to play in competitive gameplay of like official games, I don't know what to make of this team.
Yeah. I mean, before, like last year, it was always I would always play pretty much Zywoo and Shox and RPK, like that. Those were my go-tos. And then Apex started. He kind of came out of nowhere towards the end of the year and was like putting up huge numbers. Um, yeah, this is a tough one.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like, in all seriousness, all DFS players that play Team Vitality or Astralis or whoever was employing a six-man roster, we're all kind of happy Team Vitality's back to a set 5. Because now we're
yeah,
not worrying about sub-risk, we're not worrying about what maps could be chosen, yada yada yada. Most likely we're going to see Mirage and Dust 2 again, because G2 like Mirage and Team Vitality like Dust 2. We know Team
I agree.
Vitality permabans Train. I would like for just, shits and giggles. Sorry to listeners out there, I know bad language. But for shits and giggles, can I please see Zywu on Train? Can I please see Zywu with an Office Paradise? Can I please see him go plus 60 in one map?
No one would do it.
I mean, Train is one of the more interesting maps out there for competitive gameplay because of how big the train yards are and how small some of the more enclosed corners are. Whether you're in brown halls, you're over in Ivy. It's very interesting. It's big, it's small. You have to make sure your communicators are good, your smokes are good, your util's good. It's a very interesting map to play competitively. With that being said, I think Masuda at 8,200, getting back on track, Masuda at 8,200 is very interesting for GPPs.
Yeah, that's too much for Masuda for one thing. But
Oh,
I mean,
I 100% agree with you. I think he's about, $1,500 overpriced, if not a little more overpriced. But I think he makes for a great GPP play on the slate. I just don't know if you can if you can fit him with a Captain Zywo. That's one of the only things that's a little interesting. So, like, if you wanted to pivot off Zywo and maybe go like a
huh?
Shox Masuda, or if you wanted to run a three-man Vitality stack that doesn't include Zywu, you could probably do it and be very different. I wouldn't recommend it. Again, G2 don't have an opper, or a dedicated opper. Sorry, Nico. Um, they don't have a quote unquote dedicated opper. They don't have a Zywo. They don't have a Kenny S. They don't have a device. They don't have a simple. Nico again, hybrid role. So does that mean when we see this again, does that mean Nico's gonna have that op on a situation basis? Like we don't know. So with that being said, who is your not including Zywo, who's your favorite Vitality player? Is it RPK at dirt cheap 4,200? Is it Shox
Shocked.
at I was gonna say Shox at 7,000? He looked the second best on the slate. You know who looked the third best? Masuda.
Apex.
Masuda.
Oh, so what? As you were talking, I realized that Masuda is going to be extremely low owned because of the pairing that people will go after with Zywoo as a captain. That he won't even be probably considered.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be that's a good opportunity to play Masuda because he is good enough to get there. Um, so I agree with that.
Yeah. So again, Team Vitality. I mean, it's nice that we have 5 players back. Obviously, don't play Navarra. He's out. No one's gonna own him. I just think whoever you want to pair with Zywo, or if you want to get really crazy and fade Zywo in some lineups, I don't mind that either for MMEs. But I do think you want a lot of exposure to Zywo. I'd pick Shock second, Masuda third. RPK purely is the best value play on the slate
Yep.
at 4,200. I mean, he's my value play. Is he yours?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so We got our value plays out of the way with for our core value in GPP section. It's RPK.
Yeah.
His 4,200 is it's too cheap for him. But I would say play who you want to play. I would probably go Zaibu Shocks. Zaibu RPK most likely is going to be chalk, just because you're paying that high price tag for Zaiwu. Again, if you're playing him in captain, you may see a lot of captain Zaiwus, but a lot of RPK because of that $4,200 price tag. So
Yeah.
mix and match for your MMEs, get a lot of exposure to Zaiwu. I think we spend way too much time on Team Vitality. Let's switch it over to the G2 side of things, and let's kind of okay. I'm not gonna laugh at Jax at 8,600. Why is Nico not this price?
Yeah, something's wrong with the DK algorithm because that's crazy. 8,600 for Jack.
Why is Nico 7,400?
Yeah, there's something wrong. It's fair. So I was just looking at Nico's Dust 2 and Mirage stats. He's like with G2, he's like plus, I don't know, 50 between the two maps in various matches.
Who's this
And
Nico?
yeah, no slouches either. Like, Fury, Astralis, has Navi, Complexity, Spirit, Big. Like, we're talking all top tier teams while he was with G2. So this isn't going back to when he was on FaZe or anything.
I think you build your G2 stacks around Nico at 74 hilariously underpriced
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah.
Nico is $2,000 too cheap. There's no excuse for him being under 9,000.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I am outright fading Jax at 8,600. For what it's worth, he was putting up the frags today. Just putting that out there. He was fragging well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not paying $8,600 for Jax.
No.
7,400 for Nico. Love that price tag. Hunter at 6,400. Love that price tag. If you want to take a chance on Nexa and Amanek probably my third favorite on this team. And then you can play the Jackson Nexa. I just stick with Nico, Hunter, and Amanek for me.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool. All right, core value GPP players. We'll let these people get out of here after this 40-plus minute podcast. They love hearing our voices. They love hearing our voices. Core value GPP play. One of each. Even though we already spoiled our value play.
All right, yeah, I got to stick to that one, don't I? So core is going to be Zaiwu, and value will be RPK, and GPP will be Masuta. They're all on Vitality though. That's not. I don't think that's probably not helpful. I'm going to go. Okay.
Team Vitality Homer.
Well, so can you switch back to the mouse phase game?
Yep, I can do that.
I'm
also going to say, if you're looking for a non-obvious value play, my second value play would be BMass at 5,400. Third is Cold Zero at 5,000.
Yeah. All right, and then Nip and Ents just for a minute. This is kind of. Everybody's so good.
There are a lot of good GPP options, for what it's worth. There are a lot of good GPP options in this group, period.
Yeah, you might not have to get too cute. I think just maybe like realizing that everyone's going to play Zaiwu and RBK together is important. But then after that, you have four spots to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Diha.
I like it. Core play for me, it's the same for both of us. It's Zaiwu. That's no surprise. Their value play, I gave 3 of them. So, again, RPK is obvious. But I also, BMass 5,400, Cold Zero 5,000. I'll give you a 4th, Knock at 52.
Oh, yeah. That's well worth it per Knock.
I mean, really anyone. You could go Amanek, you could go Dexter. There's definitely value options to make things really interesting for your GPPs. Speaking of GPP play, Twist at 9,000 is my GPP play of the day.
Okay. I mean, he can get there for sure.
Absolutely. All right, let's get out of here. Let's do our favorite team stack. and do a bold prediction, we'll head out of here.
Favorite team stack? I'm gonna go with Vitality.
Shocker. Uh,
Bold prediction. I'm gonna go with Frozen is top fragger for the entire slate.
that is very bold, sir. Um, very, very bold. I definitely want to play some Frozen. I don't want to bank on him being the highest fragger on the slate, but
No, don't bank on that. That's a
there's a
total.
reason it's a bold prediction.
Yeah.
I will say for what it's worth, Valde came very close to being plus 20, and that
I
called the
know,
other
dude.
day.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, he got it like right on the net. He hit the nail right on the head with the 25.
My favorite team stack on this slate is Nip.
Oh.
I'm gonna do. I am not gonna overthink this. Answer the worst of the 6 teams here. They're not as bad as Renegades. Nip,
Oh, hell no.
I just think are very underrated. If they can turn it on, they get a
Mm-hmm.
chance of upsetting some of these teams. So I think outside of not naming Team Vitality, Nip are my favorite team stack on the slate.
I like that.
My bold prediction. Captain Rez is going to win someone at GPP.
Yeah, that's way more reasonable than mine.
I am not going to be as bold. And again, it's bold in and of itself because of the spot that Zaiwu is sitting in. Because you can pair him with RPK. And if both of them go off, you need both. But like,
Yeah.
Rez is sitting at 8,000. I mean, people may play him, but they're also going to want to play Zaiwu. They're going to want to play Twist. They're going to play Rops. They're going to want to play, all these other high-priced guys. The ownership on Rez may be lower, and if the ownership is lower and he goes off against Ents, there's a good chance he's in the winning lineup. I just really think I think Captain Rez is going to win someone at GPP. He looked really, really good today.
Yeah, he's like up there with Rops, in my opinion.
Rops is one
talent.
of my favorite players in professional Counter Strike.
Oh, he's ridiculous.
He's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Also, I will say this today. I didn't see all of it, but Zaiwu had a 1v5 pistol ace clutch.
Oh, he does that all the time.
He does it all.
Are you kidding me? He does.
I mean, that was on Dust too. He also had a 1v5 pistol ace clutch last year that I think was up for like one of the players of the year on Mirage. I think
Mirage.
Yeah, it was a P250.
P250. Yep. I remember that.
I like using
insane.
the P250, but what he did was just he's something else. Anyway,
I mean, it's like the way he does it is like he has to be cheating, but he's not. Like we're watching him. We're watching him move his mouse.
He's just that good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Transcendent.
Yep. Good luck on this slate tomorrow. We will be back to preview the next DraftKings main slate. I am unsure if that's going to be Monday or Tuesday. Actually, you know what? Before we head out of here, we'll figure that out. We'll go over to matches. Not results. Matches.
Tuesday is a day off.
Tuesday's the day off. Oh, okay. I'm so used to the other way around. All right. We will see you for the Monday main slate. We will record that tomorrow, probably sometime in the evening once pricing drops. With that being said, good luck on this slate. For Dan, I'm Adam. Latest, peoples.
Have a good night.